Joe, welcome to my kitchen. Thank you for joining me today.
Actually.
Thank you. I bought you a present. I'm now regretting this present because you just told me you eat well and you eat organic. And I saw this and I thought this, because we're talking about quite a way out subject, I thought this was way out because it was biscuits which are flavoured strawberry and pink peppercorn. I thought that's nuts. So I thought I'd get you that because it's kind of strange. But
all right, no, interesting.
But
Thank you very much.
You can re-gift it if you don't eat biscuits.
Strawberry and pink
peppercorn. Yeah, it's a bit nuts, isn't it?
Scottish shortbread. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, give it away to someone if you don't want to try it.
I just give it to my cleaner.
Damn. I know you're not into it now. I listened, your podcast, Alien Nation, I've listened to them all, apart from actually this week's. It's what podcasting's about, really. And I really do enjoy them because you've got two people sitting there discussing a subject with absolute passion. And it's something that I've never seen an alien before, or a UFO.
Yeah.
And so, but I'm fascinated and open to all the ideas about it. So could you just explain to us quickly what the purpose of the podcast is?
Well, for me, I've been fascinated about all things out there, just even as a kid, when I used to lie in bed and think, if I fell off this planet and went down and down and down, surely I'd get to the end. And that whole thing used to make my mind go crazy. And then, of course, my dad told me about this article in a supplement that said, was Jesus an astronaut? And it just always has been something that fascinates me. And then I had my own experience of seeing a UFO. And my friend Mike Hansen said, if you come up with a good subject for a podcast, we'll do it. And I thought, gotta be UFOs and what's out there. And so I said that to him, and I think he thought I was going to say healthy eating, And he went, "Let's do it."
Yeah.
And the more I talk to people, the more they say, "Oh, well, you must talk to this person, and you must talk to this person," and because I think we're on this planet, ball of rock that spins around, and we're quite small compared to other planets, and we're spinning around in the middle of nowhere. Well, in the middle of the universe, and there's billions of stars out there, and stars are suns, not even talking about the planets that go around them, and there's a dark matter, and there's, it's just fascinating, and I'm sure, and I know that there's no way in the world we could be the only people, only beings. It can't be.
What was interesting listening to the one with Brett Smith is she was saying that if you'd asked her to do it a couple of years ago, she probably wouldn't have done it because of the way it's perceived that people who are interested in UFO and aliens. Now she feels able to talk about it. Is that how you feel?
Yes. I just think this is a good time to be talking about it because people seem to be more open to the idea of we're not alone than ever before. When I first had my experience of a UFO, everybody I talked to said, "Yeah, what you on, Joe? What were you on?" I said, "I promise you, I was on nothing. I had been packing my bags." And so it seemed to be quieter. But now, I think with social media, you get all the, I follow UFO MUFON, UFO sightings, UFO Yorkshire, UFO this, that, and the other. There's so many things out there, and it's so much more open. I sometimes wonder whether it's the government's saying, let us know a bit more now.
They're letting us know more.
Yeah. Because
Why?
I really believe throughout time there's been UFOs. But, back in the day, hundreds of years ago, when you saw a UFO, you'd have gone, what the hell's that? And you would have forgotten about it,
Well, I wonder if it's become more, people are more intrigued by it because of the internet. So you can spend more time searching around.
Yeah.
But by the way, I don't believe in any of it because I've never seen it. I've never seen ghosts. I've never seen anything, but I watch it all. And I go online. I'm open to it all. Yeah. And I like listening to podcasts on it. I'm really enjoying your podcasts, though, because I like my imagination going with it all. However, as I say, I've never seen anything, so I don't know. But I do research it. Not research it, sorry. I love it. Like this week, there was was it this week or last week? Maybe there was. They released some stuff from the American guys flying the jets around.
Yeah, I saw that.
And they were saying, look, there's all these. And then when you listen, they'd seen like orbs in the air which moved really quickly.
Yeah, I've seen an orb.
And so the guys in the jets who are not RAF, what do they call them? Anyway,
Air Force.
Yeah, and they're going, look, this is moving. And they're swearing, what the fuck is that sort of thing? And it's moving around. And so you get intrigued and you get caught in. Now, when you go down through all the comments, they're all going, drones this or secret that, but no one can really explain it.
Nobody can really explain it, and it's the way it moves that is so fascinating. When I saw a UFO with Ronnie, we were in Recife, furthermost point of Brazil.
Yeah.
And we had been staying there on holiday with the kids. Well, they were sort of late teens. And I was packing because we were leaving the next day to fly back to Sao Paulo. And he starts, it was late, it was midnight, and he starts...
When was this? What sort of year is this?
Must have been early 90s.
Okay.
No, late 90s. Right. 98, I think I worked it out, it was about 98, something like that. Anyway, so he starts shouting, Joe, it's the weird lights in the sky. That's not his voice, really.
Good impression, well done.
Joe, there's the weird lights in the sky. Come out here and have a look. I thought, oh, what's he going on about? So I went outside and I looked out, and there over the sea, because we were on the beach, we were near the beach. Well, our house looked over to the beach and then onto the sea and out. And I looked out there and I thought, what the hell is that? It looked big, but it was over the sea. So it wasn't near the shore, it was over the sea, and it looked big, and I thought, what the hell? And so he ran in to get his glasses, and the lights actually hit the sea from underneath it. And as he went in, the whole thing just moved up and stopped, then just flew off to the right, and the light stopped again, and then went, and it was gone in like seconds. It was like, I went, I've just seen a UFO. I have just seen a UFO.
Yeah, but then didn't you ask yourself what it could be rather than a UFO?
Well, it moved too fast.
Could it be...
Well, it was an unidentified flying object.
Yeah, sorry. Oh, yeah, true.
Yeah.
But you're assuming it's aliens rather than...
Well, I've never seen a craft move like that in our world, ever.
Could it be drones?
No, because drones... I mean, I don't know. No, I don't think it was drones. It was just the way it moved. Anyway, the next day, we get on the plane and we're flying to Sao Paulo. We pick up the local paper, and on the front of the local paper, it went, UFO invaders Brasilia. And and the air hostess translated it all for us. And hundreds of people had seen the same thing.
Though I'm always confused when you I'm not disagreeing with you here, but I'm always confused at why UFOs would have lights. If they've travelled hundreds of thousands of years to get here, there's no point in having a light, is there?
Well, they need to see where they're going.
Yeah, but they can't. The lights aren't going to work very well, are they, up there in space? So I don't know.
Maybe when they get right up there, the lights go off.
Yeah.
Maybe they just want to make sure they're not going to crash into anything.
So obviously, people listening to this will go, you've just mentioned you were with Ronnie Wood, and rock and roll. There's drugs and alcohol around. Yeah. People will automatically.
She was hard.
Yeah. Were you?
Mm-mm. My kids were there.
Right.
My really high days were much earlier than that. By that time, I had really sorted myself out.
Have you only seen one? Have you seen more?
Well, then another time we were on the Stones plane we were going over South America. In fact, it was the left side. So what would that be? That's Peru, right, Bolivia, all that side. And we were 34,000 feet up. And Tyrone, my son, he was 16, and he was sitting in the seat behind me. We were both looking out the window, and we saw this green orb come up from nowhere and then hover over the wing and go down the plane like that and down the other and back again. And Ty went, Mum, what the hell is that? I said, Ty, I have no bloody idea. I have no idea.
See, the one time I thought I saw a UFO, I was driving along the motorway and I saw this light in the sky and I went, oh, that's a UFO. And I was like, brilliant, at last I get to see it. Because I've always said, I hope I don't die and then aliens visit us. I hope, if aliens are going to come and destroy the Earth, I hope I'm still alive to see it destroyed.
I don't think they'd destroy the Earth.
All right, we'll get into that in a minute. But I'm driving along and I see this thing in the sky. And so I've come back and I've tweeted and I've gone to everyone, I've just seen a UFO in the sky. And everyone goes, it's a drone, Tim. And it's just because you don't get perspective very well. You're driving and everything. I thought, yeah, it is, isn't it? Because it was just up there flying around, and I forgot about drones existing. So I think I just saw a drone. I don't think I saw, because there was no reports of it or whatever. So that's what I thought.
They don't report it, do they?
Let's go back to your podcast though. You've had, the guests you're getting on there are amazing. Dan Aykroyd, Jean-Michel Jarre, Sean Ryder. They're three you've had on already. Yeah. Dan Aykroyd, do yourself a favour, anyone listening to this, listen to that podcast with Dan. He's
passionate about it.
He knows everything.
He knows everything. I love Dan. And he was it was mad because he was the first person that I interviewed. And he was like, he just talked and talked and talked and talked and talked. And all the questions that I wanted to ask him, it came to the end. I went, oh no, I haven't asked him this. Anyway, so I emailed Dan, and I haven't seen him for about 10 years. I said, Dan, I'm doing this. He said, Joe, there's only two people I would talk about UFOs with. One of them is, who's that guy that does that late night show with the glasses in America?
Which
no, the other one. Oh gosh,
can't think.
Anyway,
yeah,
very famous guy that does talk shows and interviews people.
Right,
wears glasses.
I don't know which one.
Anyway, he said.
Oh, the English guy, is it? Mark, what's his name? John Oliver. No. Anyway,
him.
Yeah.
And me.
That's cool.
And I thought, oh my God, that is so great. So we arranged it, and yeah.
So he talks about.
He's a ufologist.
Yeah, what is that? You called him that on the thing.
Yeah, he says he's not, but when you look at his Twitter, it says a ufologist. And I remember going to his place in Canada by the lake, and he was going out with some guys on bikes, and he took Keith and Ronnie with him. And to go and sit by the campfire and look at the sky.
Just to see if they could see any.
Yeah. But I forgot all about that until I finished talking to him.
So Dan Aykroyd, he believes I'm trying to remember the list now. There's tourism, there's good aliens, bad aliens visiting us, and there's he said sport, but he never expanded on that. What did he mean by sport? People coming here for sport?
Well, I suppose it's a bit like the tourism one. I mean, he said, this is a beautiful planet, and when you look at it from way out there, it is a blue planet, so it must look beautiful in the sky. And I suppose maybe for sport he means, okay, let's race your spaceship against my spaceship. I'll get there first.
and Sean Ryder was talking about the time he spotted it. Actually, there's a scene, isn't there, in 24-Hour Party People, that film, where he's at the beginning of it. Is it the beginning of that film?
I don't think I saw that film.
Oh, where he's looking up at the sky. They put it in there. Because Sean points out it was when he was a kid, when he was young, and before he'd started doing all his partying and stuff. He saw a UFO. He's an interesting guy, isn't he?
He's a very interesting guy, and I like Sean. I met him before, years ago as well, and I also saw his UFO program where he went and searched UFOs.
So why do you believe that they're not telling us? Do you believe the government know?
Yes, of course.
All governments, or just the American one?
I know the Russians know, and the Americans, and I'm sure the English do. But I think the thing about it's all about control, isn't it? And it's, we used to have religion that controlled the masses, and we don't have that anymore. So I wouldn't be surprised. Somebody also said this the other day to me, that they're going to then say, we are being watched by aliens. Everybody would be all like, how scary. And that'd be your control again. It's all about controlling the masses.
Do you think they're living amongst us?
I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they are. I've seen things online when they say they can
Shapeshift.
Yeah, they can shapeshift. So
Yeah, and
who knows? Maybe I'm an alien.
I've always thought shape-shifting was a sort of really stupid idea. However, cuttlefish and octopus, which I won't eat anymore. Not that you really eat cuttlefish, but I won't eat octopus anymore because they both, apparently they have kind of big personalities. Who was telling me this? Someone on my show the other day was Sunday Brunch was saying to this the other day. They can recognize humans, octopus. So they'll come to if you come into the room, they'll come up to, if you got them in captivity, they'll come up and look at you and stuff like that. But cuttlefish, if you ever look at any YouTube videos on them, they shapeshift immediately. And I read the other day that cuttlefish are shapeshifting and they're changing their color to camouflage. They can't see color, and yet they can imitate the color that they're next to. So do you ever think with this alien phenomenon that we're just not bright enough to understand what's going on?
Yeah. I mean, say you've got a race out there that's been going 1 million years longer than us. God knows what they can do. I mean, we talk about, putting body parts on, and we can do all sorts of things with stem cells. And I mean, and we're ancient. We could be if we've only been going, how many thousands of years? Well, it's 13,000 years as we are, but maybe 200,000 years as man, something like that.
All right, here's some facts for you. The Earth is 4.5 billion years
old. Yeah.
Life at the latest started 3.5 million years ago. Yeah. So there was kind of a bit billion years ago. Sorry. So there was 1 billion years before that, maybe, where there wasn't any life.
Billion years.
Yeah. And then
how do we know that civilizations haven't come and gone?
Well, I was going to get into that later, but the universe is 13.8 billion years, and the Goldilocks planets, they reckon there's 40 billion of them. The Goldilocks planets being the ones that that are like Earth that we can live on. So the chances of there not being life are pretty remote.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
So there must be life out there of some description, because if
they say there's reptilians.
Really.
Yeah.
But I wonder if we're looking for the right thing, or we could also be a simulation. Have you heard that theory, Elon Musk simulation?
There's another planet like us.
Parallel
planet.
That we're just basically like a computer game.
Oh yeah, I've heard that.
Could that be it? No.
Can you imagine us being like a computer game? Well, I thought that if I was, this is one of my thoughts from years ago. I thought if I was a being that has been around for billions of years, and where do you get to? What do you do then? There's, you're just this all-powerful being. Would you do something like? I mean, Tyrone, my son, plays that game where you become a person. You have a pretend
Sims or something.
Simulate another life on screen. Maybe somebody up there has gone, I think I'll be Joe Wood and give her loads of challenges and let her live this sort of life and that sort of life. I don't know. You don't know, do you?
Yeah.
We don't know until we die, and then I think we find out.
It's when you start looking at all the theories, and with those facts I've just given you, it seems kind of impossible that we would be on our own.
I'm sure we're not on our own.
It'd be
pretty lonely if we were.
But then, why haven't people visited us? You think they have? But
I'm sure they have.
You do.
Yes.
Well, I was speaking to an astronomer on my show the other day, and I said, "Why aren't aliens here now? Why haven't they showed up to talk to us?" And he said there is a theory going that because all species of animals, as we know it, or whatever it is, everyone's quite vicious. And most people, like the humans do, we try and kill everything, wipe everything out to eat and survive. He says there is a theory, which I quite like, is there's a huge war going on in the galaxy somewhere far away, and they're just ignoring us. A bit like if we were at war in Europe, we'd ignore New Zealand whilst we're putting all our resources into the war. I quite like that theory, because I thought that was quite an interesting...
That is interesting. I mean, I do believe that something happened on this planet thousands and thousands of years ago, because they've gone to places like Pumapunku. Have you seen Pumapunku?
No, what's that?
Pumapunku is in South America, in Peru. It's 12,000 feet up.
Right.
And it's like it's the most unusual place, and there's this wreckage of buildings, but there's these massive stones that are, loads of them, hundreds of them are cut perfectly, each one in an H shape, and they can't work out what they were for, but they're thousands and thousands of years old, but they're all cut the same, and it's like it's been blown over.
Right.
They can't work out how they got those stones out there, how they're cut with more precision than we ever know, and what the hell it was. I'm dying to go there. I am dying to go there.
Yeah, you say that on your podcast a lot. Why don't you go there?
I'm going. I'm
your
just
next
so busy
holiday.
at the moment.
Just go and have a look. That'd be great.
I'm going to definitely go there. So there could have been, they say there could have been a war on this earth because they find a lot of old radiation, areas that have this radiation that nothing will grow.
That's interesting. Have you ever heard a guy called Graham Hancock or Robert Scott?
Graham Hancock.
Yeah, he's the guy who believes there was a his theory is that there was a civilization before humans who were advanced and maybe advanced in a different way, but he doesn't necessarily believe they're aliens. You know, that he thinks they could be just an advanced civilization. He's been talking about it for ages, and now he says they're finally getting proof that there's I mean, I've watched videos with him talking. I really enjoy it. So he believes that we got wiped out. That, well, not we, but these people got wiped out because of the environment. Basically, there was a huge, when everything got wiped out. But what was interesting the other day is he reckons the rainforest is actually farmed. It's not a natural phenomenon. And he says now they're starting to look at photos from above it. They can start to see that it was a big farm. And it used to, they reckon, because it's so grown over in the rainforest, if you actually go through the rainforest,
there's cities in there.
There's cities in there.
Yeah, I saw something on TV not so long ago on Ancient Aliens about the cities that they've found under the rainforest. And there's massive cities under there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And under the ocean.
And under the ocean, yeah. Right near Japan, there's these massive flat slabs that are so giant but have been cut manually. But
what he doesn't believe necessarily they're aliens. He says it could have been just completely wiped out, like us just getting wiped out tomorrow, all of us.
Yeah, and that's the worrying thing, isn't it? That we might wipe ourselves out.
Well, I think he seems to. A lot of these people, like Robert Schott, reckons that it might have been done by the sun or something, because the sun has flares. The flare might have been so huge that the rain started and the planet flooded, and it could be a natural phenomenon, not just us doing it, like not just beings.
Yeah, but we're at rate we're going, we're
going
doing
to
it
do
ourselves.
It. Yeah, we are, aren't we?
Yeah, we are, and I'm really passionate about changing things.
So one of the guys that I thought was fascinating on your podcast was the one who'd been abducted. It's a great story, that.
Fantastic.
Yeah, because when I started that podcast, I'm going to be really honest with you, I'm thinking, oh God, here we go, you've got a nutter on who's going to say he's been abducted. But his story's really believable, isn't it?
I went to a party and I was talking to the host of the party, and he said, "So Joe, what you been up to?" I said, "Oh, well, I've just come out of the studio. I just talked to Sean Ryder for my podcast." He said, "What about?" I said, "Oh, it's called Alien Nation." He went, "Stop there, Joe. I have a friend coming over and he is fantastic. You've got to speak to him." And yeah, right. So he turned up and I sat down with him and he started telling me that story. I said, please come and let me talk to you on my podcast. He said, "All right, Joe."
He was basically, without ruining the podcast too much, he was in a tent with his mates and they heard all these noises, and was it some lights and stuff? They heard some noises anyway. And then that was it. The next thing they know, they woke up and it was morning. And
but it was a bit about the sleeping bags that was interesting.
Yeah, the sleeping bags were the wrong way around when they woke up. But why do you think aliens would abduct us?
Check us out, have a look. Fun, maybe just for fun. Oh, let's get those lot. Yeah, you don't know. Maybe they need some of our DNA.
Are you frustrated that we don't know? Because you're so sure.
Yes.
You're so sure, aren't you? Are you frustrated?
Yeah, I had a dream not so long ago that I went up into a UFO. And I said, take me around the earth once and then drop me back home. They did, I think.
And then, yeah.
Yeah, I'm very frustrated. That's why I think by doing this podcast, I can gather information and just sort of, it just makes me feel better that there's other people that believe, and maybe I'm going to get some information that is really, really good and can confirm everything. Because I do believe we cannot be alone for 100%.
Well, what do you think of Barack Obama? Because he's mentioned, he talked about the UFOs a lot. And I love the conspiracy theories when you go online. Because Obama mentioned it a lot. He kept saying there's no UFOs. And the conspiracy theorists say he keeps saying it because we want to know about Roswell and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's why. Do you believe that he might be holding the secret? Why would he want to hold? That's why I don't get. Why would he want?
I don't get why they would want to hold. I can only think it would upset religion terribly. And people that aren't as easy with it and would freak out. People would freak out, and they would be horrified that they've been lied to for years. But I think slowly the information is coming out. I mean, when Roswell happened, they first reported it and said it was a spaceship, and there are people there that saw little bodies being taken away. And then the next day or next week, it came out that it was a weather balloon. And I just think there's this whole big cover-up. They don't want us to know yet.
But it must be so hard for the people to cover it up for so long, though, isn't it?
Well, what the hell are they doing at Area 51?
I don't
where
know.
You can't even go near the gates. I mean, it's such a huge secret. And nobody can fly over Area 51. They've got some serious shit going on in there.
Can it not be just military stuff, though?
No, it's more than that. It's more than that. Big. And there's Area 52 as well, which is more secret.
Where's that?
I think it's in somewhere like, Ohio or somewhere like that. Yeah, Area 52.
Do you not think, though, that we've got to be careful? Because if we look at ourselves the way we are, if we go to America as British people years ago, we decided to wipe out the natives. We go to Australia, we wipe them out. It's history showing us that as a species ourselves, and as animals do as well, if you go somewhere different, you just wipe out all the locals and take it for yourself. Do you not think if we are visited by aliens, they're going to come in and go, well, let's just wipe this lot out?
Well, maybe we are a product of aliens and DNA, because apparently there's a bit of DNA in humans that is not accounted for, that they don't know where it comes from. So I reckon, we were. There's a great thing about the Anunnaki. When the Anunnaki came down to this Earth, because they were having problems on their planet. I can't remember which planet it was now. It might be Naboo.
Who are the Anunnaki?
The Anunnaki were very tall. One of the first people to come down to this planet, they say. It says in what was I reading the other day? Anyway, something.
Yeah.
Anyway, it says that they came down to this planet because there's one subject, one thing they needed very, very badly in order to repair their ozone, and that was gold. And so they mined for gold in Africa, and there's these really old gold mines still there that they've just discovered. And so they took their workers with them that mined for gold. Anyway, they then decided they needed more workers and took the monkey and messed around with its DNA and eventually produced workers on this planet. And
that's us.
Yeah.
Oh.
So they were very advanced.
So explain that.
But also that it says that in this thing that I saw on the Forbidden Knowledge on Instagram, it said that it's highly likely that they would have wanted gold because they put gold on the outside of spaceships, which protects them, the spaceships from the sun.
Do you not think, right, that we have different sort of consciousness, don't we? All of us. So say you're going to take acid, it opens up different views on the world. It's one. Do you think that because people who've seen UFOs are so sure they've seen UFOs, and I haven't seen any. I've not seen any ghosts. I've not seen anything like that.
Have you done acid?
No. Have
Nor
I?
have I.
But I wonder if if people who've seen UFOs have a different perception to me. Do you know what I mean by that? They can
that I can see
that
them
you can see stuff and I can't.
Hundreds of people had seen that UFO in Recife. Hundreds of people had seen that. I mean, you just had to look at the sky and you could see it. It wasn't invisible to anybody else.
So on one of your podcasts, you started explaining the different sorts of aliens that people say are here, including the tall ones, the short ones. Tall greys, short greys.
The Anunnaki were the first people, they say, that came down to the planet, or that we have that's been written about by the Sumerians, actually. And then there's the reptilians, which are very much like our apparently like our like a lizardy sort of person.
But they're the ones who are apparently living amongst us.
Apparently they live underground.
Oh. But aren't they supposed to be in government and stuff? Shapeshifters and all that sort of stuff.
Maybe they are. Can you
Isn't
imagine?
that... Because I listened to...
It's so scary that you
that's
chat up a guy and think he's really handsome and then take him back to your house and he turns into a reptilian. Oh,
but that's what David Icke talks about all the time, isn't it? The reptilians.
Yeah.
And that's why I listened to an interview with Roseanne Barr not so long ago.
Oh, really?
And at the end of it, she started talking about reptilians. I'm like, what's she talking about? But it's this thing that the people believe there's this species living amongst us who are...
Oh, I didn't realise
right?
it was reptilians. I thought it was like a species that are very much like us. But if you're shape-shifting, you can turn into anything. And then there's the little greys, the ones with the big eyes and the...
They're the ones at Area 50 or Roswell, yeah.
Area 54. And there's even pictures of them, actually, from secret footage, they say. But these days, you don't know if it's really true or it's made up. But I think in every lie, there's some truth.
Can you switch off, though? Because obviously, I go online and I look at this stuff because I like it. I was looking at Noah, the time traveller, the other day, which I really enjoyed, who reckons he's travelled back in time. And really? It doesn't take me long before I start going, it's true, I love it, it's true. I like listening to all this, even though I sort of half believe it. I don't, but I like looking at it. And then, but then I switch off. It feels like that you're constantly thinking about it. Is it something that's quite big for you?
I'm fascinated. I've got so much going on in my life. I can't be thinking about aliens the whole time. I think about being healthy and happy, and those are my family, just doing stuff.
I want to. I get a lot of on Sunday brunch. We get a lot of astronomers on, right? They talk about the planets and stuff. Every single one who come on before the ad breaks or before the show or whatever, I talk to them. I say, are there aliens around? And they all say 100% there's life, right? But they don't know. They don't say they think there's anything, but they say there's definitely 100%. There's not a chance there's not other life out there in the universe.
There's not a chance.
But what one of them said to me, which I thought was really good, he said, we don't know what we're looking for because it might not. We think life might look like us, but we just don't know.
Yeah.
And he just finished this. He said that imagine an ant on an anthill. It goes about its life. It has, like in Africa or something, it has literally no idea that humans exist.
Yeah.
And they don't know what they're looking for because they've never seen us. They've just arrived there. And then one day we come strolling along. They go, oh shit, that's what humans are, because we're there and we might trample on their anthill or something. But they have no idea. So we might be like an ant sitting on our planet. We don't know what we're looking for. We don't know what size it is. We don't know what it resembles. But
we don't. That's a fascinating thing, isn't it? It's like I saw a program a couple of years ago, and this scientist was saying about dark matter. He said, we can't see it, we can't feel it, but we know it's there. How do we know it's there? He said, because the planets go round the sun, and he said, and where you'd think that as the planets come out, they'd all go at different speeds. The one nearest the sun would go fastest and the ones furthest away would go slowest. But dark matter holds them all in place, and they all go round. We all go round the sun at the same time. He said, so it's all held together. The universe is held together with dark matter. And then he said, for all we know, we could be living amongst beings that are dark matter, because we can't see them, we can't feel them, we can't touch them, can't smell them. He said, but we know that dark matter is there.
Yeah, I tried to
to
look up quantum physics once and try and get my head around that, and I couldn't. So,
Yeah,
so the chances of me getting my head around dark matter are pretty remote.
I think
if
our
I'm honest
minds
with
are
you.
too small to comprehend all that's going on out there.
Yeah.
Our minds are too small. So for me to get as much information in my little blonde brain as possible, that's cool.
Yeah, I said to, I think it was Professor Brian Cox once, I said, what do we really know? What do we 100% know? He goes, nothing. Everything's a guess. And we just, we put the science out there and then we try and disprove it. And that's what we constantly try and do, is disprove what, and science does move on. We change our minds on science all the time. So
I mean, we've changed our minds a lot in 50 years, haven't we? I mean, look at the difference it is now in the last 50 years. And where did our advanced technology suddenly come from?
Well, that's another interesting point that I've listened to a lot on podcasts. I do listen to this sort of stuff, is that the advancement of humans has been absolutely rapid recently.
Since 1947.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Was on your podcast, it was that there's a theory that that's when we started messing about with nuclear weapons. That's right, yeah.
Yes.
When
And
we
also
learned how to
there's
split the
another-
atom, the aliens came, because they're like, oops.
Yeah, and
that
apparently
right?
it all shut down. Yeah, all shut down. And they couldn't work out why it shut down, but it all shut down. And yeah.
There's one of the guys on your podcast said there's a documentary called The Unacknowledged, which I haven't.
Yes,
Have you watched?
I haven't watched it yet. I keep meaning to watch it.
It's on Sky. You can do it. I looked at it the other day, but I just didn't have time. There's too much football on at the moment. What else? Which is good. What else have you been up to? How's Joe Wood Organics going? You still doing your stuff on
I'm
that?
actually at the moment I am formulating an anti-aging face range.
Oh, I need that.
And so actually it should be ready soon. I go into doing the testing bit, which is my favourite bit.
So tell us about the product, what you have.
At the moment, well, I launched it in 2004 when I first became so passionate about, before that, actually, I became passionate about all things organic. And so by the time I got to 2004, I decided that's what I wanted to do, make organic beauty products. So I started with a bigger range, and then through all sorts of things like the ex-husband leaving and stuff like that, I sort of closed it down and started doing things like TV, and I did Strictly and MasterChef and all those bits and pieces. And then a couple of years ago, I thought, you know what, I think I miss not talking to women about the importance of what they put on their skin.
Yeah.
And I thought I'll start it again with just a small range. So I've got a candle, two different candles, 2 body oils and 2 fragrances. And now we're doing the anti-aging face range.
And how does it stop you aging? Have you got alien space dust on it or something?
Yes, it's a secret ingredient.
You should say that.
Everybody must buy it.
You should just lie a bit and say, look, the big greys came down or whatever they are, and they gave me some.
Put a bit of this in, Joe, and they'll all be great. No, it's all about the skin, you see, because your skin is made up of oil, so you put a good quality oil on your skin, and it will feed your skin. You know, you don't want something to just sit on your skin. You want it to feed your skin.
Right. Okay. Did you enjoy your stint doing things like Strictly and stuff? Because you really arrived in my consciousness then when you started doing that. You stopped being Ronnie's ex-wife and you became, a personality.
Joe who couldn't dance. I loved it.
But did you like doing it because you suddenly became famous? I mean, really famous in your own right for doing that sort of, because that's such a huge show, isn't it?
It was, yeah. I mean, I must admit, I wish I could have done it a couple of years later, because that was my first time on TV since I was modelling. And I suddenly threw myself into that like a mad woman. Oh, God, what did I do? And had these dreams that I could dance. And I soon realised I couldn't. And I couldn't even remember the bloody steps. But it was great fun.
Yeah.
I loved everything but the live show.
Oh, I've been down there when Simon, my co-presenter on Sunday Brunch, was doing it. It's terrifying, isn't it? The
Absolutely
atmosphere is terrifying.
And
It's
to
so
sit
funny.
backstage and see your name go up and up and up. You're about to go on next. I think, oh my God, how did it?
Oh, yeah.
Brendan would be furious at me. He made me cry. You get that bloody step right. Oh God.
Yeah, well,
But it was great.
But I don't know whether they did or not. But did the papers start picking your because you've got such notoriety because of Ronnie? Did they start picking your life apart? Was that something that you had to cope with?
Oh yeah, they did.
Is
all
that hard?
But I don't. I'm so used to it now.
Oh yeah.
I don't take any notice, and I don't read the papers anyway. I did at first years ago, but I don't read them anymore.
What was it like modelling years ago? What was
Right.
the industry like then?
Yeah, it was great. Just all I wanted to be from the age of 14 was a model. I don't know why. I just wanted to be like Twiggy.
Everyone wanted to be like Twiggy. She was like one of the biggest stars in the world, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Really?
And then I became Face of 72 when I was 16.
What does that mean?
Well, I went on Nationwide.
Amazing.
Talked about the look for the next year. It's going to be natural. Remember saying that? And I just loved modelling. Then I met my first husband, and
What was it though? Was it catwalk stuff then?
no, I did all magazines,
all the photo shoots and
young
stuff?
magazines. 16, yeah.
And what year was it? You were doing that in the 70s, did you say?
72.
So, was it a glamorous time back then? Must have been amazing.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. I just loved the fact that I had left home and was working in London. It was so exciting. And then I met my first husband at 17. And then I had my first child at 19, and then I left him at 20. And I was off again, and then I started back working, and I had a couple of years that were really great before I met Ronnie. But me and my mate Sue would just terrorise. We would just terrorise the town. We were terrible. We actually called ourselves Susan Harrison. She was my great friend. She still is. And we used to call ourselves sisters, Philia and Likia Bowles.
Nice.
Anyway, shouldn't have said that.
So I mean, that's amazing that you'd get married at 17, isn't it? Like if someone.
I got married at 18. I didn't get married at 17. I got married at 18.
Oh, right.
In Vegas.
I got married in Vegas.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I was a lot older. Yeah, I got married in that little white chapel thing.
Oh, you did? Well, my first
weird.
husband was Jewish, so he wouldn't get married in the chapel.
Right. Vegas
So we had to
wedding.
Get married in the county hall.
It's not as glamorous as I thought it was going to be. If I'm truthful with you, but hey, it was a wedding. It was a story.
Yeah.
So you've got your organic products and stuff, but you're really big on everything to do with the planet and everything, environment and all those things as well.
But because when I changed my life and became this organic girl in '92, after I met this wonderful guy called Gerald Green, who changed the way I thought about food and what I put in my body. That's where it all started, actually. It went from my food to what I'm putting on my skin and to the environment. What we're doing, growing GMO crops and spraying them, and like an organic potato has 5 times more nutrition than an unorganic potato. And I remember meeting that chef, the one that used to have his hair sticky up like that. Gary Rhodes, yeah. Gary Rhodes, and I said to him, "Do you cook with organic ingredients?" He said, "I can cook you French beans and organic beans, organic French beans, and you won't know the difference in the taste." I said, "It's not about the taste; it's about the nutritional value."
Yeah.
And he didn't get it as a chef. I bet you he does now.
Yeah, well, we've really gone that way, haven't we?
Yeah, we really.
The only problem, though, Joe, is the population. I keep saying this to guests on my podcast, but since I'm born, the population of the planet has doubled. So there's a lot of mouths to feed out there. We kind of need to be able to.
Well, we need to learn to grow in our gardens instead of growing flowers.
You think?
Yeah, if everybody's growing their own vegetables in the back garden instead of a row of rhododendrons, and we'd be
Yeah.
able to feed ourselves and our neighbour better. We thought we were eating more vegetables and less meat.
Mm-hmm.
We'd also be a lot healthier. There's so many things we can do, I think, but you have to start with yourself. If you clean up your own body, you create the demand for the farmers to grow organically. We should all go healthy and put the NHS out of business because nobody would go to hospital.
Yeah, sadly we can't stop the aging process. Your cream with alien juice in it though might help.
Alien juice, that's
Alien juice.
A bit
That's
weird,
what we need. We need some alien juice down here. I'm about to ask you my questions that I ask everyone, but just before that, what do you really wish for? If I could say to you, I'm going to give you one dream to do with UFOs and aliens, would you just like to be visited? Would you like just to land and say we want to go and see Donald Trump or Theresa May, God help us. It's great to see everybody, or the Queen, or whoever. Is that what you like?
I would like to. I'd like to experience a real situation where I would meet an alien and show me inside your spaceship, please. I would just like to have I'd like to see it again. I'd like to have another sighting or confirmation somehow. And even if they said, don't tell anyone, Joe, I wouldn't.
Just love to see it, just to confirm
would.
it. Do you doubt what you saw then?
No, I don't doubt what I saw at all. But I'd like to see it again. I'm always looking up.
Yeah.
I'm always looking out. The other day I was looking out. I thought I saw something. This guy walked into a lamppost. I thought, come on, Joe, behave yourself.
I would absolutely love to see a UFO. I would love it. I don't think I'm going to get to see one, sadly.
You'd never know.
I would love to see it. It would just be brilliant.
Yeah.
It would just be amazing to go. I know it, but I'd like to see all that stuff. I'd like to see.
Well, they say that there's space stations on the moon, don't they?
Who's they? Who's saying this?
There's lots of people out there
Do
that
you?
say that.
Do you believe in the moon landings?
No.
You don't?
No.
You think that's conspiracy?
I love a conspiracy theory,
Yeah.
but I don't believe in the moon land. I don't believe they did. It was all about showing the Russians, I think.
Okay.
And apparently, when they were in their space, one of the astronauts in their spaceship said, in their rocket, whatever they were in, said, there's this bit of tape. It goes, there they are, they're watching us.
Where's that?
I found it on
Really?
somewhere.
On YouTube? I'm going to look up
Yeah.
that. So the astronauts said they're looking at us.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to look that up. You're going to send me down a thing now. Because I'm watching, because I know I'm interviewing you, I just thought, because I know Barack Obama had come out and he'd said to everyone, look, and by the way, we have no information on aliens. He said that when he finished his office. But then he was interviewed lots of times, and I ended up, there's one saying, proof that Obama knows. So I start watching that, and then I watch the next one, and then I watch the next one, and then you start going, yeah, he does know, doesn't he? Because people do. And I don't think he does, by the way, but I end up going down this rabbit hole of stuff.
He's not going to tell everybody. He's not going.
Why
There's
not,
far
though?
too many people in America that are good, religious, abiding people that it would just smash their illusion. And look how rich the Catholic Church is. I mean, it's just.
Well, yeah, okay. That's a good point. Yeah,
I mean, without them, the people believing in Jesus, and the way they want us to believe it, this whole thing is ruined for them.
Oh, but they can still spin it with aliens. I don't know. Anyway, was it Dan Aykroyd who said the aliens might find us incredibly ugly? Was it him or one of your other guests? I can't remember.
I think it was Dan. That said that.
You know,
and was incredibly stupid.
incredibly stupid. Yeah. Well, I hope one day we get to actually see them for real. I get to see them for real. You've seen one.
Keep looking to the skies.
Is that what I do? All right. Let me ask you the questions that I ask everybody. What one piece of advice would you like to give our listeners that has been invaluable to your life?
Yes, I thought about this, and I think it came from this guy Sadhguru, who's a mystic. And he said to me, you can't change the past is gone, and you can't do anything about the past. You can't do anything about the future because the future's not here. He said, but what you have is the now. And that's true.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, and that's such good advice because it makes you stop thinking about, oh, this was wrong then and I should have done. You can't change it once it's gone.
Have you ever met Bill Murray?
Yes.
What's he like?
He was very nice because, you see, I used to know John Belushi well.
Oh, right.
And, so I met him with him.
I think Bill Murray's fascinating. If you listen to his theories on life, I think he's...
Oh, yeah, I must listen to that.
He's amazing.
He's a nutter, but he's great.
He just seems to be enjoying his life, though.
Yeah,
apparently
that's what you have to do.
Apparently he doesn't have an agent. He just has a
I follow him on Twitter, but I don't often look, actually.
Right.
And he says his own little stuff, I say. Yeah.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy. What's it like being famous?
What's it like being famous? Mm-hmm. I don't regard myself as famous.
Oh, you are.
Oh, thank you. That's fine. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just me.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the biggest mistake you've made?
I don't think I've made mistakes. I've just had lessons in life.
Okay, that's good. Any life hacks?
Not really. I suppose I always pack the night before I go away. I don't know.
Right. Okay. And finally, what's the meaning of life?
I think the meaning of life is to love. I think that's really important. I think you can change the world with the way you love somebody, and you know, not just a person, your cat, your dog, the planet. Love our planet. It's our home. I think love is very important.
You're clearly not religious because you just said that a minute ago, but you think if we die, when we die, we find out what it's all about, do you?
Yeah, I think so. Well, I'm going to.
I like the idea of that. So what do you think happens when you die?
I think it's like opening a door and going into the next place. You know, like a butterfly can a caterpillar can shed its skin and become a butterfly.
Right.
And I believe that we are an energy, you know, and you can't kill energy. And I think when we die, when my mum died, I watched her, and I sat with her all night while she was dead, and it was like her real self left her shell. And I thought, that's fascinating. She's not there anymore.
Oh, yeah. I watched my brother die, sadly. And it is that funny moment when...
You see, they've gone.
Yeah, the body does look different.
Yeah, it does.
It really, but I don't know if that's just my head.
No, it's fascinating. I find
realization. I don't know.
Heartbroken as I was to see her go, and I realised that something had left her, and it was no longer mother anymore. She had left. Elvis has left the building. No, it was like she had left and gone on to the next place, and it's like, I'm not gone. I'll see you down the line a bit, Joe.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I will see my mother again and my father. I'm sure. Or just be with them in the energy and know that that's my mother. I'm sure she's with me all the time, actually. But I think that's what happens. I'm sure you just either go to another dimension, and one of those, you know, or go and meet the person that has been living for millions of years, and hey, there you are, I'm back.
I spend too much time on the internet, but I went down a rabbit hole of looking at near-death experiences once, and when people die and they're brought back to life, that sort of stuff. And a lot of them say they see a sort of white light. I think it's some form of hallucination you go through as you die, and then, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's you pass over.
I had an experience where I had a seizure years ago, and I can honestly say that I saw a light and I could hear birds singing, and then it suddenly went further and further and further away, and then I suddenly started to hear people in the room, and I came to, and I thought to myself, if I was nearly dying, there's nothing worth worrying about. I was fine.
That's what everyone says when I went and started going to. Everyone says it's a nice experience, and it's tough.
It was a nice experience,
and it's tough to come back because it feels good. But when you come back,
yeah.
Joe, thank you so much for doing this. Who have you got coming up on your podcast? Have you done any more interviews? Have you got anyone else coming up?
Yeah, next week I'm interviewing Robbie Williams.
Oh, amazing! Wow.
I know, it's cool, huh? Tomorrow
Has he seen a UFO?
he's mad about UFOs.
Has he seen them?
I don't know yet.
Right, okay.
And then tomorrow I'm interviewing this guy called Robbie Graham, who has a big connection between what's going on in Hollywood and UFO sightings and things like that. So he's very interesting. Who else have I got coming up? I'm always looking for. Oh, who's that other guy I got coming up? I'm terrible on names. Anyway, got some good people coming.
All right. Well, listen. As I say, I thoroughly enjoy listening to it. It's really good. It's as I say at the beginning of the podcast. It's what podcasts should be about. Really, you can never do those conversations probably on TV. And yet it's really nice just to sit and listen to people.
It's like I think I love podcasts too because it's like listening in on somebody's conversation. That's what it is, really, isn't it?
Exactly. Thank you so much, Jo.
Pleasure,
All
Tim.
Right. Cheers. Thank you.
I better take my biscuits, eh?
That was.